Retro.
Hi, this is Vanessa Marshall, voice of Hera and Rook Cast, and you're listening to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. Their behavior is continually unexpected.
Welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jay Krebs.
And we are kicking off this week with a discussion of the first episode of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past. It's going to be fun, so make sure you stick around. Jay, you want to go ahead and give everyone our social media contacts before we get started?
You got it, Dennis. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
All right. The distance is aligned. The signal's boosted to maximum output. The shield is down. We are now broadcasting to the galaxy. So like I just said a second ago, we are diving into the new Lego Star Wars special, which is the sequel to Rebuild the Galaxy. It's called Pieces of the Past. It's a 4-part miniseries. All 4 episodes are currently available on Disney+. I've only watched the first one. Have you gone beyond that yet, Jay?
Nope, I have not. So I'm right there with you. Same starship.
Well, cool. Well, then we don't have to worry about knowing what comes next. So the current plan is to cover 1 episode per week for the next few weeks, and then we'll get back into our Clone Wars rewatch. But I just really enjoy these, so I'm taking my time with them, and I'm just going to savor them as they go. It's one of those things. I think we talked about this with Rebuild the Galaxy and some of the other Lego specials. It's like they're not canon. You can't look at them canon. You can't worry about them being canon or not. You just kind of have to enjoy them for what they are. And one of the things I appreciate about them is it really brings the spirit of Lego to life, which is creativity, imagination, and play. And they just apply it to Star Wars here.
Yes. Yes, you said it the best. And that there are no rules, and you can remake and unmake and do anything the way that you want it to be.
Right. And plus the fact I just love Star Wars Lego sets. So there's that.
Heck yeah.
But this whole thing opens with the opening crawl, and we've got Sig, our hero from the previous special, who is now in this rebuilt Star Wars galaxy, reading the crawl before he gets impatient with the whole thing and says this is too slow. He's just going to do it his own way, and kind of recaps everything that happened in the first series. Nothing really earth-shattering that happens there. But again, just kind of gets into that whole spirit of the thing, where it's fun and, here it is. Things aren't the way you think of when you watch Star Wars.
Right. And again, it's just a fun recap, like you said, fun little intro.
Right. But then this is where the real fun begins. And that is we get a scene on Dathomir, and we find Sig's brother, Darth Devastator, who goes by Dev, searching for something, and something's been calling him out to him, but he cannot find it. And so he's kind of throwing a tantrum on Dathomir, and you see him smashing stuff. And then he gets confronted by a bolt, which he deflects with his lightsaber. And the hurler of said bolt turns out to be Asajj Ventress. And she asks why he is tarnishing their sacred grove. And she introduces the Day Sisters, who help protect the light in the galaxy. Fun twist. I had no idea there was an Asajj Ventress character in this, or if they told us, I forgot about it. What'd you think?
Oh my gosh, I love this. This was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, and the fact that we got Asajj with her blonde hair as well. So that particular version, I just thought that was a great touch.
And then they lean into Legends by bringing the Rancors into this, because in Legends, that's where the Rancors came from, was Dathomir. They got away from that in the current canon. There aren't Rancors there, or at least none that we've seen. But, I'm thinking of the courtship of Princess Leia and the like, where the Night Sisters were riding Rancor, and the Singing Mountain Clan was doing the same type of thing. And that's what we got going on here. That was a fun little callback that way.
Yes, that was such a great touch. I agree.
And so apparently Sig has been seeing all this in a dream, and he wakes up, snaps out of it, and we kind of get some exposition between him and Jedi Bob, or should I say Jedi Master Barbarian Atoll. They're on the planet at Nor, and we get a fun little training montage. And I love the fact that Sig is going through the training course with Servo, the little gonk droid, strapped to his back. And when he asks Jedi Bob, "Why do I have to do this?" He's like, "Oh, because it's funny." It looks ridiculous.
Yes.
No other reason.
That's so great. And this scene, as you pointed out earlier, is truly what Lego is all about. And just on the cuff, just saying, I want to build this and I want to make that. And let's transform this into that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, because he has to ring the bell, and it turns out that Bob's using the Force to make all these different things, and so Sig goes at it with the U-wing, which turns into an TIE interceptor, and then to an ATTE, and then into a Jedi starfighter. I mean, he's just thing after thing after thing there, and it was really fun getting into it before Yessie returns with the Dark Falcon. I forgot she had the Dark Falcon after
I
the
did
first series,
too.
but another joke that made me laugh is that Sig has obviously got some sort of a crush on Yessie, and so he's all nervous about her coming back. And then he's like, "How does my hair look?" And he's all moving it around. You see the little Lego piece that's his hair moving around, and Bob says, "It doesn't matter what you do; it always looks the same." Which, it's not like it's comedic gold, but in the moment, it was funny. And for those
It
of us who
was.
plays with enough minifigures, I mean, yeah, the hair never moves. It's just that it's a piece of plastic.
Yeah. No, I seriously laughed out loud at that. That was a very funny moment. It always looks
Yeah.
the same. Just
Yeah.
the way he said it.
Right. But I don't necessarily want to go through every scene of this, but so, we'll just kind of skip around. And if I skip something that you want to talk about, then make sure you bring it up here. But, they're, they're getting ready to settle down for the night. And then they get confronted by Grogu, except for in this galaxy, they don't know it's Grogu. I mean, which is funny because Sig is like such a know-it-all with all of the Star Wars lore. And Grogu shows up and it's like, it's a baby Yoda, which is exactly what we all said when we watched The
Mhm.
Mandalorian the first time. So kind of a neat breaking the fourth wall moment there in a way.
That was genius. Yes. No, I love how you just put that breaking the fourth wall because that is exactly what it is.
Right. And then of course it's not the Mandalorian, it's the Landlorian, which we knew from the trailers that this was going to
Right.
happen. Did not make it any less cool. And so, when they're cooing over Baby Yoda, Billy D. Williams does the voice and says, the baby's name is Grogu, baby, and the way only he can.
Yes.
And this show is better for having him do the voice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's just so smooth and just so classic. That was my other favorite part of this entire thing was the Landlorian.
Right. And they have to get Din Djarin subthermal detonators for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Right?
That was so
These are
cool. That was a
so
neat little
cool.
touch. Now, the subthermal, that was fun, because it was, uh, you know, we all know the thermal detonator there. So subthermal, that made perfect sense. But it just kind of, Sig's response to subthermal. What is that? Get frozen in carbonite. So nice touch there.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder if there actually is some sort of, technology that can create something like that, even on a small scale
Well,
in Star Wars,
I'm
obviously.
just thinking, in The Empire Strikes Back, there was the carbon freezing chamber.
Mhm.
In season one of The Mandalorian, Din was carbon freezing people in less than a closet on his ship.
Mhm.
So I don't know that he can perfectly encase them in the way that they do in the carbon chamber or anything like that, but why not? I suppose.
Yeah, it's kinda like when computers first started, they would take up an entire room, and now we hold them in the palm of our hand.
That's true. That's true. And another fun joke. So Sig and Yessie and Bob wake up, and Sig's talking about how, wait a minute, I know this place. It looks familiar. And then he puts two and two together and he's like, no, it can't be. It's the Death Bar. That's impossible. And then he's surrounded, of course, by all these different Darths. And they're like, Death Star? We call this the Battle Ball.
Oh, Death Star is so much better.
Yeah. but it's kind of like Darth Ray and her jolly band of Darth idiots.
Mhm.
Darth Jen Urso, Darth Rose Tico, Darth Plo Koon. There's a Darth Ithorian, Darth Hammerhead, Darth Nibs from the Young
Yes.
Jedi Adventures, Darth Jawa, and a few others, and of course, they're surrounded by the clone Mon Calamari. Okay, have you seen the new Death Star Lego model that they are selling?
I have not, no, but I assume that it's very similar to what we got here.
Yeah, well, I put in our notes a picture of this thing, and you can go find this
Mhm.
over on the Lego website. It's a $1,000 model that's coming out in October. And let me see if I can find it. I mean, it is absolutely enormous. Now, if you're not familiar with it, um, it's designed as kind of like a cross section of the Death Star, and
Yes.
it is not a I'm not even sure how to put this. I don't want to say screen accurate. That's not right. And it's not designed to be like a perfect model of what this Death Star would be. Instead, it's got various rooms that you're looking at in this cross section that represent very famous scenes from the movie. So,
Yes.
you've got the Emperor's throne room, you've got the hangar bay where the Falcon was brought in, you've got the chasm that Leia and Luke swung across, the trash compactor scene and all this stuff like that. Well, that's what this scene is. It's a cross
Mhm.
section of the Darth Star as these various Darth Lords chase Bob, Yessi, and Sig all over the place. Now, it's not identical to this model, but part of me is wondering, was like, is this just a commercial for this new $1,000, 9,000 piece Lego set? But I don't know. What do you think?
Oh gosh, now that you put it that way, I mean, that does seem very plausible because you're right. I mean, it was basically all of the iconic scenes from the movie and they did it so well and it
Mhm.
was just so much fun.
Yeah. Of course, things go wrong here. The Landlorian wants to get paid so he can go on his way. And Darth Ray says, well, you've got the gratitude of the most powerful people in the galaxy. That should be reward enough. It's
Yeah.
just like, I
This
mean,
deal is getting worse all the time.
I was like, are
Love
you
that.
all broke? Or is this just like a commentary on corporate America right now? It's like a reward, a job well done is its own reward. No, it's not. Money is its own reward. It's
Exactly.
pay the man. Bob points out, it's like, you're not going to pay the bounty hunter after you already did the job. It's not a good idea. And so, of course, all heck breaks loose with the Landlorian ended up helping him out. And then Servo shows up in the Dark Falcon to help rescue them. I just said I wasn't going to go through this scene by scene, but that seems to be what I'm doing. Uh,
It's hard not
but
to though.
no, it moves so fast and they pack a lot into it.
They
And
do.
it's a lot of fun. But then this is the part that really fascinates me. And then we can get into some other parts that jump out to us, some of our favorite moments afterwards, is that they get to Dathomir and Sig finds Dev and he's in this, it's not a temple. It kind of looks like an arena with some sort of Star Wars version of Stonehenge in the middle of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Dev is feeling this, his call power, but he cannot find whatever it is that he's looking for. And Sig wants to try and turn him back to the light side. And so he goes down there to talk to him and they start fighting. And as they are using their force powers, creating and destroying, they open up a rift in space time. And then this is where we're introduced to Solicitus. And this is Jedi Bob's former master who betrayed the Jedi and was sealed up in this alternate dimension. And Solicitus goes on to say that he was using the Force to give, to project the desires of what these two brothers wanted the most. Dev wanted power, Sig wanted to turn his brother back to the light side, to redeem his brother, and it was the act of Force building and Sith destroying there like this that tore open the rift and allowed him to get away. Okay, putting aside that it's just kind of like Lego or whatever, that was some kind of cool prophecy stuff that they had going on there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it really was, and I like the idea of the force hold as
Mhm.
well, like this rift, as you called it, between time and space.
Yeah, and it also kind of worked for him because Solicitus was taking credit for planting these ideas in Sig's and Dev's head, much like the way the Emperor claimed to do in The Rise of Skywalker. it's every voice you've ever heard, I've been every voice
Right.
you ever heard inside your head there. And so it's like not completely unheard of when it comes to Star Wars.
Mhm. Mhm, that was a very clever way to do it. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And then, of course, he throws Solicitus, that is, throws Dev and Sig into the Force hold, and Servo goes charging in after them. And then Asajj shows up to rescue Jesse and Bob. It's like, get on the Rancor if you want to live. I couldn't help but think of the Terminator, come with
Get
me
to
if
the
you want to
chopper.
live. So, but yeah, I mean, good start as far as I was concerned. What do you think?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was jam-packed with, as you said, it was very fast-moving, a lot of action, great humor, and just the reintroduction, and it was which was nice because it's been a while since we saw, the first, episodes, and coming back to this new series, I was like, "Okay, now what was going on here?" And then it did a nice job of filling in some of the gaps, and then also giving us some fun new stuff too.
Yeah. I like this idea that Solicitus was someone who betrayed the Jedi. It's not, they didn't even describe him really as a Sith. It
No.
was this, he, I can't remember what they even told us what his motivation was, but he betrayed the Jedi. And when he gets out of this Force hold, he says that he's going to bring eternal peace to the galaxy. No more of this Force building and Sith breaking and whatever, but it's going to be like an endless night thing, which doesn't sound fantastic either. And he still addresses Bob, who's a Jedi Master, as his Padawan here. So you can tell he's been locked away for a while. And just the idea that was 2 galaxies ago when that happened here. So this is the third
Yeah.
version of the galaxy since then. Is there any other moments we hadn't talked about from this, or jokes that we hadn't brought up that resonated with you or you enjoyed?
Well, first of all, I think the idea of the force hold is really cool because, like you said, this was, he's coming back a couple galaxies later, but yet the
Mhm.
force hold seems like it's more of a neutral zone, where nothing ever changes, maybe. So I think that's a
Right.
really cool concept to be able to explore. So my other favorite, I think, joke from this is when Bob's going to meditate. He's like, if you find a pile of clothes in the morning, I'm one with the force. Otherwise, I'll see you at breakfast.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh, I was cracking up.
Yeah, it was well paced, the humor with this one. I also liked the the foreshadowing they did when at the end of the Death Star scene, they had rounded the Landlorian, which is hard to say with now I'm going to start saying that when we're talking about the
I was
Mandalorian, but
thinking that too.
right, he unleashed his subthermal detonators on the Sith, and they froze them in carbonite, and then they put them all in that Jedi prison on the Dark Falcon. And
Uh-huh.
when they couldn't get out, of course, someone was like, let's use the Force to get out of here. And Darth Vader's like, well, we built this to trap Jedi, so it's not going to work. And of course, Darth Plo Koon is like, actually, I think we're going to be on the light side now. But that moment aside, it was this, I can't remember exactly who said it, but it's like, yep, trapping all these Sith back in the container. This will definitely not come back to haunt us later.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to something's going to happen with it. Well, for no other reason, we've seen a lot of them in imagery with the various light side characters that come up later in the
Yeah,
season. Um,
exactly.
which was your favorite Darth?
Oh my gosh, as much as for the Darth Nibs, I don't watch the Young Jedi Adventures, obviously, but that one caught me just because it reminded me almost of, one of the, like, Gizmo After Midnight, you know,
Yeah,
from the 1980s, the
good call.
yeah,
Yeah, I like
don't
that
feed them after midnight kind of thing.
Bizarro Gizmo from Gremlins. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah. You know, it was such a small part of it, but every time I see the Darth Jawa,
Yeah,
that makes
that's a good one
me
too.
laugh. Just the thought of it. They don't give him much screen time. They don't give him much to do, but just the idea of a Sith Jawa is hysterical to me.
Mhm.
I also like the fact that the secondary lasers on the Death Star don't work. And so they keep trying to blow up worlds as whatever. And Plo Koon's like, that's that whole secondary lasers not functioning
Right, not
thing
functioning.
coming from. But
Good
yeah,
stuff,
I don't know
yeah.
if there's a whole lot else more to say about this other than it's just incredibly fun.
It
And I
is.
think something that people should give a shot. I mean, like I said, just go into it accepting it for what it is, which is Yeah, we've been doing all of those Laugh It Up Fuzzball episodes this year. And
Mhm.
this is not the same thing. It's not a fan-made thing, but it is just the spoofing on Star Wars, the goofing on Star Wars. It's in that, the satire in a way. Aimed at kids, absolutely. But the idea of some of the mashups they do and how they twist things is what makes it fun. And it's just, you don't have to really engage with it with all the sincerity that you do regular Star Wars. You can just kind of turn your mind off and watch it and have a good time.
Mhm. Well said. Yes, I think that's a perfect way to sum it up.
All right. Okay, well then we'll go ahead and call it an episode. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of Podcast Stardust and our discussion of this first episode of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. That is a mouthful.
It
If they do
is.
another series, I need to not add something to the end. But anyway, we hope you've enjoyed the discussion. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, you'd consider doing so. And we'd also appreciate your ratings and reviews. That helps the algorithm out and getting the show in front of more people. And then you can catch our entire back catalog of shows, of course, over at retrozap.com, along with the other shows that are on the network. Jay, you want to go ahead and give out those social media contacts one more time and let everyone know where else they can find us online?
Sure, you can help us to continue to build at Podcast Stardust on both Facebook and Instagram. And we also have our Pinterest boards and our YouTube channels. So you can head over to the traditional YouTube as well as YouTube Music. Like, subscribe, and share those out. And let us know what you thought of this particular episode or any others, because that does, like I said, support all of those types of things. And then if you want to head over to TeePublic, you can find our store over there and you can pick up some Podcast Stardust swag. We have 7 different show logo designs available on all kinds of really cool stuff, from t-shirts and sweatshirts to home goods, including even things like tote bags, wall hangings, and everything in between. So the link to that is in our show notes.
All right. Upcoming on the show on Wednesday, we've got a really great discussion of the most recent Star Wars novel, which is Sanctuary. It's a Bad Batch story, so come back and check that one out. And then Friday, we'll be ending the week with a look at some Star Wars news. So make sure you join us for the latest. With all that being said, thanks for listening to episode 945 of Podcast Stardust, everyone. Have a great week, and until next time, may the Force be with you.